Hi, Michelle. My blisters are fierce. So fierce. The ones on the pads of my feet, if this was my foot, it'd be right here and in between, actually the big toe and the index toe. Those were really, really bad. I was getting blisters on the pads of my feet, and both of those have healed almost completely. And now I have a blister on the side of my foot that is so obnoxious. And I've already popped and drained it twice, and it just keeps reforming. So I don't really know what to do. I need to change my shoes, but I haven't had an opportunity to do that. And when I was coming out of the mountains into Agua Dulce, I just switched into my Crocs and hiked probably 7 miles in my Crocs, which wasn't terrible, but also wasn't that comfortable, just to relieve that pressure. So that's the blister story. I've never had blisters before, really, and this has been a whole new experience, apparently because of the shoes I'm wearing. But I'm wearing these shoes because of the snow, which I've been able to avoid, so I don't really need them, but to get new ones shipped, and it's just a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Anyway, welcome to my first live on the PCT. I have a list of questions that people have asked me, and I can go through those unless you guys have questions as well. There's 9 of you, so that'll be very nice and easy to maintain or manage. Does anyone have any questions they need answered immediately, or should I just go into the list? Excuse me. Okay, so where I'm at right now is in between. I'm actually in Bakersfield right this very second. But where I've been hiking is between Tehachapi and Agua Dulce, and the entire area is full of flowers and grass and blooms. I've been calling it a super bloom, but I was corrected by a local that this is not a super bloom. Okay, so anyway, the super bloom that isn't a super bloom, but there's a million trillion flowers everywhere, has really been stimulating my allergies more than, bye sweetheart, I love you, more than I've ever had allergies before. So if I'm coughing or sneezing or my eyes are running, this is me on medication. Hi, Sandy. How are you? Okay, so here are the questions that people ask me to answer ahead of time. And if you have questions, just speak up and I'll do my best. Chris asked, where are you now? I'm in Bakersfield right now. And the reason I'm in Bakersfield right now is because everything is covered in snow. And I have, thank you, Sandy. I've pretty much hiked everything that I can hike other than 130 miles that isn't covered in snow. So I'm getting confirmation right now that the section that I want to hike starting on, after my 0, I'm trying to get confirmation that it's safe to go through. And if it is, I'll go through and do that 130 miles. If it's not, I'm going to go home and try and figure out what's next, because based on the reports that I'm seeing, there's pretty much snow from the northern terminus all the way down to Kennedy Meadows South, which is 3/4 of the trail. And then the San Gabriels are all full of snow as well. I personally think that my skill level is, or I should say, I'm really comfortable with my skill level, and I know when something is too much. And currently right now in the up by Wrightwood, I think that's Highway 2, the Mount Baden-Powell area. Hi, Andrew. Hi, Tammy. That whole area, there's 8 feet of snow on the road, and the road is closed. And so people are doing a 9 to 11 day food carry to get into Wrightwood. And some people that I met yesterday, beautiful Europeans with so fit, so healthy, young, probably 25. They came up and we were asking them about the mountain, and they were like, oh, it's nothing. Usually they were doing 20 miles a day, and they said they were doing 7 miles a day. That's how much post-holing there was. And so I decided that if these young, fit kids with ultralight backpacks were taking an entire day to do 7 miles, there's no way that I could get through with enough food carry safely. I'm not necessarily worried about like falling off of a mountain. Yeah, I just reached out to the Tahoe Rim Trail Association about that, and what they told me today was that they're not expecting that melt until July. So it would be great. Well, it would be great if the snow melted, but going through the Sierras during a melt is more dangerous than going through the Sierras in the snow, in my opinion, because the rivers are higher and faster. It's really slushy. It ices over, so it's really slippery. There's something called Sierra cement where it ices over and then melts and ices and melts and ices, and it makes this really compact ice that the crampons won't even go through. So you're really slippery, and going over Forester Pass with that, I don't know how much you guys are aware, but there's several passes that are very dangerous on a good day, let alone during a major snow situation. And so I would like to go after the melt or before the melt, like right before the melt. And I don't know when that's going to be, and nobody knows when that's going to be. I've talked to rangers, I've talked to mountaineers. I have a friend who is a mountaineer. Yeah, exactly. All the ski in resorts in Tahoe and Mammoth are saying they're going to stay open until the end of July. So, like I've said from the beginning, I want to hike as much of this trail as possible before, or within my safety limits. And unfortunately, that looks like it's about 400 miles, which I'll be done with shortly. So I don't really know what that means. I don't know what's coming up, but I'm here in Bakersfield just trying to figure that all out. I was really hoping that I could jump up to Oregon and start hiking south, but Oregon just got a new dump of snow, and they're expecting more this week, apparently. I don't know where that snow is. Mount Hood just recorded 168%, and then Crater Lake is recording record lows in temperature. So not necessarily high snow, but just low temperatures. So that is the status of the trail right now. And I'm working diligently with my family and all of my resources to see if where I can go next. I've even thought about just leaving the trail completely and going somewhere else, like Patagonia or Spain, hiking the Camino, or a lot of people jumped over to the AT, but the AT is experiencing some problems, or they're expecting to. So there's word on the street, scrub the mission. Yeah, Ryan, I saw that too. Dixie from Homemade Wanderlust had to abandon her trail on the AT. I'm sorry, on the Arizona Trail, which is, I just saw that today, Ryan. And what's so interesting about that is that I personally know 5 hikers who left the trail this week to go do the Arizona Trail, and now they're not going to be able to. So it's just a really bad year for hiking in America. And I'm not sure if I just need to throw in the towel and come home, or get my passport out and just go somewhere else. Any other trail that I do other than like the Red Line in the Alps is going to be significantly shorter. I would love to do the trail in New Zealand, but I think the season for that is during the winter time. So there's a lot to consider for sure. And one of the things that a lot of us on trail are trying to figure out is, most of us have given up things to be out here, whether it's a job or a house, or it's some sort of break in between school, or there's some sacrifice that was made to be out here and to go home early is really hard, especially when it's something that I don't really know how to say this, but I feel like I'm constantly questioning whether or not I'm making the right decision. Is the snow really that bad? Or is it just all in my head? Yeah, the AT, I was just saying they're about to get some massive weather, according to the people who know more than me. Yeah, I know. Ryan and I, we were on the Tahoe Rim Trail during the same year. That's how we met through, I don't know what it was, if it was Instagram or something, but I did it in June and I think he did it in September. Is that right, Ryan? But he was right in the middle of all those huge fires. And so he had to get off trail because of the fires. And that's one of the reasons why I started this trail so early, was because I was trying to avoid fire season. And I also don't do well in the heat. So I was trying to avoid, Northern California heat and the desert heat. And so far I've done it. It's been great. I mean, the desert doesn't even look like the desert. It is so green. I was walking through this section yesterday with these huge waterfalls, like showers. Like I was standing underneath one, just taking a shower, because there's just so much water and there's so much green and flowers and life, and it just does not look like the desert. There's nothing other than the lizards and snakes. There's nothing that would make you think that that was the desert. So it's been an amazing year as far as that's concerned, but everything that isn't a desert is covered in snow. Oh, that's what I was going to say, was that there's nothing definitive. I went to the ranger station in Idlewild and, asked them if it was safe to traverse San Jacinto, and they didn't know. The rangers didn't know. And so there's one guy who goes out there and he was basically saying, unless you have extreme skills, don't try it. But there were so many people that were like, we're going to go. It's fine. We're just going to do this bypass and we're just going to road walk this thing. And they seemed so like sure of themselves that I was questioning my decision to stay back, to not do it. And then some friends of ours, again, young, 20 miles a day, ultralight backpackers, already did the AT, very experienced. They decided to go out and try it. And they were only out for one night and ended up, one guy fell and had to be rescued. They ended up almost freezing. It was so cold. It was during this, one of the storms came in that night and they were all snowed in. And they had to evacuate the trail by, I don't know exactly how they even figured this out, but they went up this trail that had been closed since the 90s. And they just sort of bushwhacked in the snow sense, right? Their way through this trail to get off of the mountain. And I just thought, there's no way that I want to do that. Even if I had the skill, that seems miserable. They were only able to make it 6 miles in 24 hours. It was just miserable. Now, a lot of that is melting and everybody's very excited because the mountains are melting. But I want to know at what rate. How much of it is melting? It's not melting on the north side. How much of the mountain is on the north side? How much of the trail is on the north side? What kind of slope is it? Are we on something like this, where the trail is right here and there's a slope down and a slope up and there's nowhere to go? Yeah. There is a concern about flooding for sure. But again, it's the same story. Nobody knows. So how does that affect the trail? Oh, yeah. Thank you, Michelle. Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I'm doing. And that's why I'm in Bakersfield, because actually my trail family, Seymour Rivers, asked me this earlier and I didn't get around to it, but the family that I've been walking with, brilliant people, and we walked most of this trail together. They decided to go forward and I decided to stay back. So we've separated. And I don't know what that'll look like. I've learned on this trail that when you're with a trail family, don't ever say your last goodbyes, because there's so many crisscrosses, especially with everybody bouncing up. I don't know a single person who has gone straight through. I think there's a couple of people on YouTube that have gone straight through, but again, they're, very experienced, very skilled outdoors people, and they hit the storms just right. Whereas my group seemed to hit the mountains during the storm every time. When we were coming into Paradise Valley Cafe, for example, we were outrunning a snowstorm. And I literally mean running. We were running off of the mountain. We did like 11 miles in 4 hours or something insane like that, because we were just running because of this storm that was coming in. And we hit Paradise Valley Cafe as soon as it started to dump on us. And there was one trail angel who was shuttling people back and forth between Idlewild and Paradise Valley Cafe, which is about 40-minute round trip. And so we were just all huddled into this cafe, trying to get warm, trying to stay safe, while this one guy in his little Subaru was trying to get us off of this place. It was insane. And then we went, my mom, as this was all happening, she booked us this cabin. So we get to the cabin and it's like snowed in, and we have to hike down this like snowbank to get into the cabin. And I've had so many experiences where it's like the beginning of a horror story. And this was one of those, like, 4 hikers snowed in the mountains, no electricity situation. I mean, we did have electricity, but it was really intense. And then we ended up having that earthquake, and I just thought, what the hell is going on here? But we've had that experience so many times on this trail. We were in, what was it called? Julian, for 6 days because of storms and stomach flu. In fact, the stomach flu went around so violently that the county asked all the hikers, or all the people affected with it, to start calling in so they could start tracking it, because there were so many people coming off the trail because of this 24-hour sickness. It was insane. And nobody knows where it started. Some people thought it was the water, but my trail family and I, we all drank the same water. We were all eating the same food. 2 of us got sick. 2 of us didn't. We stayed in the same hotel room together. Oh, that's really sweet, Ryan. Yeah, I'm definitely, I'm not going to take any risks. I've promised my family that. Plus, I'm too much of a safety person. I don't want to take risks ever. That was one of the things that, actually, I started to feel with the trail family that I was with. Not only are they faster than me, we could do the same miles in a day. So we would plan out, we're going to camp at the 13-mile marker, the 15-mile marker, or whatever. We could all do those same miles, but they would get there so much earlier than I would, because they're just so much faster, which means inevitably they're going to start doing more miles, and I'm not going to be able to keep up with them. So I knew that I wasn't going to be able to stay with them for very much longer. But the difference in how we deal with perceived safety was starting to show. And at one point, one of our hikers slipped on some ice. We were going through some snowfields, and this hiker slipped on some ice, and I immediately went into the search and rescue mindset, and one of the other hikers started telling him what to do, and what she was saying was going to put him in a really difficult situation. So I just shushed her, which wasn't very polite, but I just didn't know what else to do. I just was shh type of thing. And she got really quiet, and he got really quiet, and I just concentrated on getting him out of the danger situation. I'm glad that I had the skill set to do that. Not that I'm an expert, but I had the skill set, and I'm glad that everybody came off that mountain safe that day, but it's not something that I want to continue to risk at all. It's not a good time, in my opinion. So safety first, and that's sort of what I was saying earlier, was like this perceived safety, because there's nobody telling you exactly what it is, right? There's nobody telling you, okay, in this section, there's 13 feet of snow and people are post holing and what have you. It's all perceived based on who's been up there, and the people who have been up there have been very skilled people. And so when they come down and say it really wasn't anything, it's like, well, it wasn't anything to who? To the 70-year-old man with two fake hips and a heart problem, or for the 25-year-old who just climbed the Alps last year, right? So this is sort of what I've been trying to figure out. And it's been exhausting, but interesting. And here's the good news. The miles that I have walked have been absolutely stunning and amazing. And I could not have asked for a better year to go through the desert because it's just been gorgeous. So to answer the first question, that's where I am. I'm in Bakersfield. I'm trying to figure out where to go next. Sarah wants to know what my tent setup looks like. I am going to film that and put that on my Patreon. I'm having a hard time finding content for my Patreon or patrons. So Sarah is a patron, and I'm just going to film that and stick that on my Patreon page. If that's something you're interested in, my Patreon is linked somewhere. Oh, it's in my show notes or whatever it is. God, I'm not very good at this. It's in the description below. If you want to be a patron, click it. There's a $5 a month thing, and that video will be on there. This person, Bapa Nana, wants to know everything about me. Backstory, where I'm from, pets, family, hobbies, career, how I figured out timing, logistics, finance, everything. That's like I could spend all day on this. The one thing I will share about this is that I don't share personal information on YouTube because I've had bad experience with creepy men in the past, and I don't want to encourage people who don't have my best interest in mind. So I don't share a lot of personal information. What you see on my YouTube is what I'm willing to share with you. If you haven't been a follower of mine for a while or a subscriber, I am happy to tell you that I love animals. And before I was on this trail, I had an urban homestead with chickens and dogs and a garden and all that. My hobbies are backpacking and traveling. And before I quit my job, I was a hairstylist. I have a very wonderful support group full of family and friends that I constantly feel loved by and supported by, and I feel very fortunate to have these people in my life. So that's how I'll answer all of those questions. As far as how I got on trail, timing, logistics, and finance, again, that's a whole nother, we could talk about that for hours. I've been planning this in the back of my head for 3 years. Actually, Ryan will remember me saying at one point on the Tahoe Rim Trail, I'll never do the PCT. I don't know if you remember that, Ryan, or not, but I was like, this sucks. I'm never going to do it. And here I am, upset that I can't do it longer, right? That I can't be out here for longer. So I think the PCT sort of happens to you. I don't know that you necessarily make it happen. Yes, that is personal growth for sure, Ryan. I have figured out the main problem I had with backpacking before was sleeping, and I have figured it out. I have the most epic sleep system. I have been comfortable this entire time. We had days that dropped down into 19 degrees, and we've had days, or nights, I should say, nights that are 19 degrees and nights that are up to 50 degrees. And that entire span, I've been completely comfortable with temperature, with my sleeping pad. I'm a side sleeper, and so sleeping pads are really important for your hips when you're a side sleeper. I found an amazing one that I absolutely love. It's the, what is it called? Oh, it's right there. Big Agnes SL something. Oh my God, it's amazing. It's loud. So if you roll around a lot, it's really loud, but it's so comfortable. And I think it has a 4.5 R rating, which is fantastic. I will need to figure out a different sleeping bag once we start warming up, because I have an enlightened 0-degree bag and it gets hot. It is a quilt, so I can, easily throw it off if I get too hot, but it is definitely toasty. And I have not spent a single night out on trail cold or uncomfortable. So anyway, the trail happens to you, I believe. I think that your life just gets into a situation where it all works out, it all aligns, and you just have to pull the trigger. Nobody's out here that hasn't given up something or sacrificed something. A lot of people are out here because they're empty nesters or they just retired. The amount of retired people that are out here, I am shocked by. I have been blasted out of the water by 75-year-old hikers. Just, age is nothing. Oh, that'd be great, Sarah. Thank you. I appreciate that. Sarah is going to put the Patreon link somewhere where everybody can find it. Anyway, age, forget it. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how short, tall, fat, it doesn't matter. I've seen people on trail that you would never expect to be on trail, and they are thriving. I've seen people who look like they should be Olympians go home early. It's amazing to me. Or I should say my perception of what a hiker should be has completely changed 1,000%. So if you want to hike a trail, just do it. Just do it. That's it. I think that if you want to be successful at backpacking, and this is my struggle on a daily basis, the people who are the most successful, positive attitude. That's what I struggle with the most. I wake up almost daily and think there's no way I can do this. And I have anxiety about the next 15 miles. I have anxiety about the climbs. I have anxiety about the snow, the water crossings. I have anxiety about the whole damn thing. Am I eating enough calories? Do I have enough water? What's the water carry? And I'm usually get 3 or 4 miles into it, and then my anxiety starts to mellow out because I realize it's not that big of a deal. Oh, I hate mummy bags. Yeah. I have a quilt, an enlightened quilt, and it's fantastic. The only thing I hate about enlightened quilts is this is the top of the quilt. This little pole thing here makes the quilt go around your neck, but it's right in the middle. So imagine this. I agree, Big Agnes. I have a Big Agnes tent and sleeping pad. So imagine you're sleeping, it's 19 degrees, and you have this around your neck. Nice and toasty, right? And then you get hot, and so you go, pull it off of you. You still have what I like to call the noose. It tends to get hooked around things. And then you wake up in the middle of the night and you're like, what's happening? So that's the only thing that I don't like about the Enlightened Equipment sleeping bag. I don't know if that's a common situation, but I definitely hate it. The one that I have has the zipper foot box that you can make into, a tight foot box, and then the rest of it is open. Or you can open the whole thing and it's just a flat quilt. And I use it for car camping and for backpacking, and I just can't say enough about it. So that's my quilt. Oh, it's delicious. I love it. All right, back to the list. How has the flip-flopping affected your hike? Financially, destroying my hike. Mentally, not bad. I like problem solving. I like planning and figuring out what's next, and that whole logistics aspect of this I really enjoy. Financially, it's been a nightmare because I've had to get on buses, rent cars. My quilt is an Enlightened Equipment. Looks like that. And I didn't get I got the one that's off the shelf. I don't think it's any less expensive. It just gets to you faster. I can't decide on what colors. You can get them like custom made with colors, and it just paralyzes me. I can't decide. Just send me the quilt. I don't care. But if you really like to do colors and stuff, you can have it all customized. But anyway, I've had to rent cars. There's been a lot of hotel stays that weren't planned. Like I said, we were stuck in Julian for 6 days. That's really expensive. We were stuck in Idlewild for 4. We were stuck in Tehachapi for 3. So there's been a lot of unplanned financial aspects of this. But that's it. Flip-flopping is actually really fun, especially if you have the time to be able to get into different sections at the best season. Like I would love to get into Northern California right now because usually it's a dry, hot desert, right, with no water. Same with Tehachapi up to Kennedy Meadows. Dry. I think at one point there's like a 40-mile water carrier or something insane like that. Well, right now there's water everywhere. So right now would be the perfect time to hike those 2 sections if there wasn't snow everywhere. If the snow isn't that bad, I'm going to go for it because I would rather walk in snow through those high desert areas than walk in 109 degrees with no water. My biggest frustration is when a day hiker or a townsperson comes up to you and says, "Are you hiking the PCT?" Which clearly am because I have a giant backpack on my back with a tag that says PCT. And I say, "Yeah, I am." And they go, "Do you know about the snow? You chose a really tough year." That is so frustrating to me. I hate that. And it's taking so much energy to not just tear these people apart because I know about the snow so intimately. Like all of us, anybody who's on, oh yeah, you're right. What snow? God, there was this guy and he was just trying to make conversation. I actually apologized to him because I really did snap at him and it was like 7 a.m. and I was doing this 3-mile climb uphill with a slope of like 600. So I was really just, it was a tough morning. And I was at this water source just trying to like get my head in the game. And he came up, he's like, "Oh, PCT hiker." And I was like, "Yeah." And what I needed him to say was, "Good job. You can do it. Keep going. Positive energy." And what he said instead was, "You chose one hell of a year to come out here." And I just like lost my mind on him, this poor guy. And I was like, "Isn't every year a challenge? What about the fires? What about the..." I just was like, had this huge temper tantrum. And you really should be what? What? I didn't read, it disappeared before I could read that. Post that again. Anyway, so I apologized to him. I said, "I'm so sorry. I'm embarrassed by the temper tantrum I just had." And he's like, No, I shouldn't have been so negative. I'm sorry." And I said, "I've been watching the snow since February. It's on my app. I have like 3 different apps that's tracking weather. And it's just something that we're all obsessed with because can be life and death out here. And we all know as much as we can know, and it's not enough, but it is what it is. And when random people point it out to you, it just makes me want to scream." So that's been the most difficult part of my hike. The biggest challenge, probably flip-flopping, figuring out where to go next with limited information. That's constantly changing. It's constantly changing. I've gone up to a town that was supposed to be really good, and then it just dumped snow. We went up to Tehachapi, super clear, everything's great, get up to Tehachapi. The day we hit the trail, ice rain, snow, 19 degrees, 55-mile-an-hour winds. Like, what just happened? Yesterday it was 50 degrees, completely crystal clear, and today we're in a monsoon, whatever that is. So It's constantly changing and it's hard to keep up with. And it's frustrating when you spend your resources to get somewhere to hike something and then the weather changes and you might as well have stayed where you were. The best towns so far, by far, Idlewild. It's off the trail. So like a town like Agua Dulce, for example, you just walk through the town. So it's so super convenient. But Idlewild has everything that you could possibly need, including this huge community of trail angels. Like you walk into Idlewild and you're like a celebrity. Like everyone's like, PCT! They're like screaming out of the car, honking. There's resupplies. There's everything that you could possibly need. It is a backpacker's dream come true. I loved Idlewild. It's very expensive, so that is one thing to consider, but I think all towns are. When I was in Lake Morena, the malt shop that's really famous, we went in there and I got like 2 days of resupply, and not food, just snacks. And I think I spent $30. It's so, like, they know that there's hikers coming, and they don't even put the prices on things. They just like, you just bring up a handful of top ramen and they're like, okay, that's $30. And you have to have it because you need to eat. And so that that can be really stressful. Idlewild, they put the prices on things. It's a great place. I love it. That was my favorite town stop. Let's see. Oh, zeros are really busy. I wrote this little note. Double zeros are the best because you have 1 day to do chores and 1 day to rest. So I really like double zeros. If we hadn't been stuck in so many places for so long, I think I would take a double zero every time. But because we've already spent so much time and money just being stuck because of illness and storms, we are, or I should say now I am just doing zeros along the way just for resources, because of resources. The best part of my trail so far is the trail families. I'm lucky enough to have 2 trail families, and they're absolutely brilliant, wonderful people. I'm so lucky. I don't have one terrible thing I could say about any of them, and I'm not sure that I would have made it this far without them. In fact, I can probably say, honestly, I don't think I would have made it this far without them. There were several times where we were in some pretty negative moments where we all sat around and said, are we going to continue? And luckily, everybody decided yes, because we're still going, and it's because of them. I am, like I said in the beginning of this, I am on my own now. And they do call me Stripes. Yeah. I don't share my real name with people, like I said, because people can be creepy. And I've had a really bad experience with that, and I'm very protective over that information now. So, what was I saying? I don't remember, except for that the best part of this is the trail families and the people that I've met. Not even just trail families. There's a woman that her and her cousin started on the same day we started, and they had a little dog named Ziggy, Australian Shepherd, and we kept hopscotching each other, and so every time we'd see Ziggy, we're like, Ziggy, and the dog would get all excited, and it was just really fun. Ziggy and Beth had to get off trail just because, you know, 2,000 miles is a lot for a dog, so they went for I think 30 days and then got off trail. She actually went to go do the Arizona Trail, and I don't think she'll be able to now that this information is out, but her cousin is still on trail, and I saw her recently and I was like, oh my God. It feels like a family reunion, and you never know when you're going to see people. So it's just really exciting. It's been really exciting. The people are fantastic. So that's it as far as the list of questions are concerned. Patreon is live and is really helping with all of this flip-flopping and unexpected expenses. And other than that, My biggest accomplishment, Sandy, why do you always ask the best questions? Sandy is responsible for me getting out of my comfort zone and creating GoFundMes and Patreons. So anyway, Sandy's responsible for getting me out of my comfort zone as far as asking for help. And my biggest accomplishment so far, I think, is learning how to stop being so negative in my head. Like I said before, it's just my habit or pattern. Live stream party? Let's do that. I want to do a live stream party. Anyway, my accomplishment is doing it anyway, even though I feel negative about it, and then talking myself out of the negativity. That negativity sounds like you're too old, you're too fat, you're not in good enough shape, you don't have enough money, you're not a real hiker, you don't have the right equipment, you're joking yourself, there's no way you can make it up that hill, there's no way you can make it through that snow. You know, all the fun little things we tell ourselves every day. And what I realized, actually just recently, the slope of the hill, I look at that before I start hiking because I know my comfort zone is between 300 and 400. Of course, you know, rise over run, the slope of the hill. And 300 to 400 feet per mile, I think, is what is showing me. And that's really my comfort zone. So anything over 400, I start to get really panicky about. And the other day, yeah, I'm trying, Sarah. I really am. It's a daily struggle. But the other day I woke up and we had this uphill. We seem to always camp at the base of the hill, which is fine because I like to climb in the morning when it's cool and, you know, it's quiet and everything. So I started climbing up this hill and the whole time I was like, oh my God, this is going to kill me. I'm not going to be able to do it. And so I just started. I just shut my mouth and I started. And all of a sudden I was at the top of the hill. And I couldn't believe it. Like I started crying because I just couldn't believe it. And I think it was 2 miles and I think the slope was like 590, which is way above my comfort zone. And I was able to do it in 1 hour, which is 2 miles an hour on a 590 slope. And I got up to the top of the mountain and I was like, wow, I can't believe I just did that. And it just made me realize, like, why am I limiting myself to these arbitrary numbers? And, you know, I'm getting stronger. Clearly I'm more able. And the more I do this, then the faster and stronger I'll be. And so I just realized that I need to shut the fuck up. Just stop. I just need to stop telling myself that I can't do it. So the next morning was that morning with all of the waterfalls. And it was, again, it was like a 600 slope, 3 miles. Maybe that was a 590. It was something like that. Thank you, Sandy. And yeah, so I just did it again. And I thought, okay, the first time might have been a fluke, but the second time that was real. So I'm getting better at not being rude to myself. And that is a huge success. There's 18 of you guys. Hello, everyone. My gosh, this is fantastic. Hey, Mom. Mama Shred is on. Hi, Mama Shred. My mom has been the most incredible trail angel a person could ever hope to have. I have literally called her, like, in tears on top of a mountain, in the middle of a snowstorm, like, oh, on my Garmin. Did you guys, I don't know if you guys saw this part yet. You must have, because we were in Mount Laguna. But my video, the Garmin kept beeping through the video the whole time because I was communicating with my mother the entire time. We were trying to find shelter in Mount Laguna because this huge storm was coming in, and she was on the computer at home, like trying to find shelter and communicating with me, and I'm trying to communicate with my tramily and making all these financial decisions. It was crazy. It was an insane situation, and it totally worked out. So I just love that I can call her at the drop of a hat. And just like last night, my whole trail family decided to go into the snow, and I just had this terrible feeling about it, and I couldn't get rid of the feeling. And so I called her and I just said, I need a escape plan. And within 20 minutes, we had bus tickets purchased and routes figured out. Here I am in Bakersfield trying to figure out what my next step is. So thank you, Mom. I don't know how anybody would do this without support from someone. It's so much work, especially this year. So short story before I let you guys go. I have been struggling with food lately. In the default world, when I'm not backpacking, I really try to stay away from anything processed, flour, sugar. I'm really try to stick to a vegan diet, although I do eat my own chicken, eggs, and I do love fish. So what is that, a pescatarian? It's true. So anyway, I try to eat very clean, and it's almost impossible to do out here on this trail. So I spent like 6 months dehydrating food and calculating calories, and I'm taking these little vitamin packs, and I'm just trying to be like, as healthy as possible out here. And I ended up passing out on the top of a mountain. And I don't even know if passing out's the right word, because I think of passing out as like, woo, and then you hit the floor and then you kind of wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, what just happened? This was like a complete shutdown of my body. I was climbing up a hill, and the slope of this hill happened to be above 700. So it was really steep, but it was only like a sixth of a mile. And so we just took it. We just started walking, and I was like, it's a sixth of a mile, just go. Get it over with. And halfway up the hill, I started getting dizzy. So I sat down and waited for my trail family to catch up with me, because I didn't want to go the rest of the way dizzy without people there. And by the time they caught up with me, I started getting those like black dots in your eyes. And they asked if I was okay. And I said, I just need to get to the top. I just need to be safe. Because we were sort of on, again, one of those things where like, there's an uphill, there's a downhill, and then the trail's right here. So I'm like, let's just get off this cliff and we'll figure it out. So we got up to the top, and the minute I summited the top of that slope, I just fell to the floor. And I didn't pass out, I didn't black out. But I just fell to the floor, and I could not get up. I couldn't lift my head, I couldn't lift my body, I couldn't take my pack off, I couldn't move at all. All I wanted to do was sleep. And you know how I feel about sleeping. Like, I have 2 mats that I sleep on. And the fact that this, bonking, exactly. The ground felt so comfortable. I just wanted to sleep. And they were trying to give me water and food. And I said, just let me sleep. I just need to sleep. And, yeah, it just shut down. Exactly, Ryan. And so, they were feeding me water, and I was aware of them. Like, I could hear them talking, and they were rummaging through my backpack, and they were trying to find electrolytes or something. And they were giving me water, and they were like putting food in my mouth just to suck on, because I couldn't chew it or anything. And it took me almost 24 hours to recover from that. By the time I got up from where I had fallen, we still had 3 miles to go to get to camp. And you can't just camp anywhere, because usually you're on the side of a cliff somewhere. So I start walking to camp, and I don't remember why or how, but I somehow got into my base layer. So I wasn't wearing hiking clothes anymore. I was just wearing a base layer. And I honestly don't remember how that happened. But as I was walking, I just started vomiting. Like, my body just didn't want to accept food and water. So we finally get to camp, and the next morning I woke up, and I was hungry. I was more hungry than I've ever been in my whole life. Like, it was beyond hunger. It was like primal. And I just started eating everything in my pack. Everything in my pack was going into my mouth as quickly as possible. And that next day we only did 5 miles, because we were trying to make sure that I was safe. Right. But by the time I got to the next camp, I was out of food. So I very quickly reached out to people who I know that know more than I do. No, I didn't have altitude sickness, Natasha. I mean, we weren't even at 4,000 feet. It was really a low day as far as altitude was concerned. It was just because I didn't have enough calories. So I reached out to people who know more than I do, and turns out that I'm burning about 5,000 calories, and I was only eating about 1,800. So I did an Amazon order. Called my mom and just said, like, hold all my packages because I need to try something different. And I just basically have been adding olive oil and peanut butter to everything I eat, which is interesting. But I haven't bonked since then. So these are the types of things that I've been learning about that I didn't, even though I knew it was a possibility, I didn't realize that I would be experiencing this quickly on the trail. I honestly thought that my fat storage would have kicked in and, you know, that I would be using that. Not that I was trying to starve myself or lose weight. That's definitely not what I was trying to do. I just didn't realize that I would be burning that many calories that quickly, and that my fat storage would have somehow taken over for whatever I had, whatever deficit I had. Apparently that's not how your body works. Or at least not how my body worked that day. And I have since increased dramatically my carbohydrates and my fat. And I've been feeling great since I did that. So that was an interesting little moment on the side of a mountain. I think that was the most dramatic moment I've had on the side of the mountain, which is great. So anyway, that's the end of my stories. All right, y'all, I am going to go take my second bath today. Oh, I have the blister. I have a blister the size of Jupiter, and I'm trying to heal it. Yeah, I'll definitely do this again. I'll let you guys know what I decide. Yes, I will, Michelle. I'll keep you guys abreast. Is that the right word? Is that the right term? I'll keep you guys up to date with the snowpocalypse of 2023. And if anybody finds a t-shirt that says I survived the PCT 2023, let me know. I'm going to go eat my salad. I went to, what is it called? What is this called? Sizzler. When was the last time anyone went to a Sizzler? But it's the only place around this hotel. So I went to a Sizzler and got this gigantic salad to go. And it's so big that I can... Thanks, Mom. I love you. So I went to Sizzler and I got this gigantic to-go salad. And at first I was really annoyed because it was $20. And I was like, this salad better be the size of a trough. It was. They gave me 3 huge bowls and they're like, here you go, have fun. So I got enough salad for 2 days. It was amazing. I'm going to go eat that and take a bath. And that's my point. Thank you, Sizzler. All right, friends. I'm not even sure how to end this. I guess I'm just going to hit the X in the corner. Thank you guys so much. Oh, yeah, on Seinfeld. I know. Oh, my gosh. Bye, Pagan. Get on trail, Pagan. Yeah, so thank you guys so much. Your support and comments and love and stuff. You have no idea how much that means to me. So thanks for being here. We'll do it again. I can't do it once a week because I don't have enough of anything. But once a month I could probably do. This was fun. Thank you all for joining me. Sleep well. If you have more questions, send them to me. I'm happy to answer them. And I will talk to you all soon. Bye.